Well, nice to see you again. Right. Be better because I'm not above anymore. So, okay, good. No, I'm probably going. Did you check on the water heaters in this room? Don't have a freezer, water. Don't have a running. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean the employees, I don't mean you personally.
Yeah. Well, us. Two. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Dick. You might have two on this. Sure.
No, because then they get mad because they say, well, why don't we?
Yeah.
Notice I didn't give you the chocolates?
Are we good to go?
We're ready, ma'am.
Okay.
Whenever you are.
Good afternoon. The Program and Policy Committee meeting scheduled for today, Monday, February the 19th, is in order. We are calling this meeting to order at 3:01 PM. We will take roll call, or I will take roll call. Jackie Levin Ramos, present. Erica Benavides Garcia, absent. Cindy Liendo, absent. Mercurio Martinez Jr., absent. Let the record show that the chair of the committee meeting is present and ready for the meeting. I will continue with the meeting and as the agenda states, and we will start with number 3, the TASB Board Policy Update 46, review updated legal policies and act on local policies by Dr. David Ariesola. Welcome. Me, myself, and I welcome you to this meeting. Thank you so much for being here.
No problem. Thank you for having me. David Arzola, Vice President of Compliance and Risk Management for the record. Board Member Ramos and Dr. Ramirez, we have a couple sets of policies that we'll be presenting today. We did have one last minute change, which I'll get to in a little bit. But as you all know, our policy manual is managed by TASB. And every 6 months, they send out a new update. And this round is update 46. Now, update 46, probably the biggest changes, the more pronounced changes that you see in this update is because of Senate Bill 17. So Senate Bill 17, if I may remind everybody, is the bill that basically bans diversity, equity, and inclusion offices from any state agency. So we can go through these one by one. Not all of them have to do with Senate Bill 17, but a lot of these, like I said, the major ones do. So first is BBD local, and BBD local just adds a section at the end that says any board member who receives written notice from the Attorney General that a member must complete a training described in section 552.012. Following the college district's failure to comply with the PIA requirement shall complete the training. So this is one of the things that we're hoping never happens, right? So the only way this would come into play is if we violate the Public Information Act by not fulfilling a request or many other reasons. But if that happens, the Attorney General would send notice to the board and ask the board to complete a training. And this is, again, where it's one of the things that we work hard to make sure it doesn't happen, right?
Is this retroactive to the ones that are already here? No.
As far as the board members, again, it's only required if the Attorney General tells us to. Now, the training is actually, I've done the training. It's available on the website. Anyone can do it at any time and get a certificate, but board members are not required to do it unless there is a violation of a public information act.
Okay.
Now, that does not preclude us from, does not preclude this board from making adding to the local policy that you'll do it annually. You could do that if you all wanted to.
Would it be okay? We could add it right now?
So, Rusty, can they add that right now to the local policy?
To require board member training?
To require, it says only if the Attorney General requires it. And
Yeah, I
she-
mean, you could certainly do that, of course. Yeah, you'd have to have the board, the entire board vote on that.
Well, they're gonna have to vote on it next, at
Yeah.
our next meeting on Thursday anyway. So if you make the recommendation to the board to do this annually,
Mhm.
we can certainly add that training to your trainings as a board.
Mhm.
Now, I do believe that 552.0 that's
12.
cited there, 552.012 does require the training because there is training, open records training and Public Information
Right.
Act training
But-
that board members are required to take.
But only after you take office.
That's
Like,
true.
in other words,
That's true.
when we take office, so last time I took that was 7 years ago.
It's not annual, so we.
It's not annual.
You
We
could.
could
you
make it
that.
annual.
Can we make it annual? Can we put that
Sure.
so that it can stipulate that
In the local,
in the local?
We would, you could add it there at the very end in its own separate paragraph. It says, each board member of the Laredo College District is required to take PIA training on an annual basis. And then, I suppose you just count 12 months from the date that the board member took the training to
Okay.
ensure they comply with the policy.
I would like
No.
to submit that. I mean, that,
Now, that's
Correction?
just the Public Information Act training.
Mhm.
And I think it's important to keep in mind that, because the other companion law that you hear a lot discussed with the Information Act is the Open Meetings Act training. And the Open Meetings Act is far more applicable to board members in the Public Information Act, because for the most part, Public Information Act issues are handled by administration.
Mhm.
And sometimes administration will call us to take a look at some issues. The Public Information Act, the issues come up when we want to withhold something, withhold a document that's being requested by a requester. And to do that, you have to request permission from the Attorney General unless it's a FERPA record.
Mhm.
But the Open Meetings Act, this board encounters that on a daily basis.
And which policy is that one?
I don't think that,
It's in this one, right?
let me look, it might be because it just talks about board member training. Let's see, BDB orientation, annual training plan. College presidents shall work with the board to develop and implement an annual plan to address training. So there's cybersecurity training,
Mhm.
and that's it. And you're right, Mr. Ramos, that the Open Meetings Act training is required when you become a board member, but you could certainly add that here. I don't see why not.
Under
this is
orientation and training? I mean, it wouldn't have to wait for another time because it's part of that BBD.
no, you
local?
can add it to the local policy.
Okay,
So this is just what they recommend. That
Mhm.
does not mean we cannot add or take away from it.
I would also like to include both,
But, okay.
right?
The public information training and
The Open Meetings Act. Because right now we only have it where it's not at the beginning of at the beginning of the person's taking the oath. But,
There is a section here in BBD local.
Mhm.
On the annual training plan, it says a college president shall work with the board to develop and implement an annual plan to address the training needs of board members.
mhm, mhm.
Might be good to add there to include Public Information Act training and Open Meetings Act training. If you want to list those specifically.
Because they did the cybersecurity training by itself.
Right.
So I would say input the Open Meetings Act because it can go below the annual training plan,
Mhm.
and even put, oh, well, the Public Information Act, we can put that each board member will be required to take the Public Information Act training annually. Right below, to be completed no later than 90th day after the member takes the office,
Mhm.
and annually. Right?
And then maybe thereafter.
And annually,
And thereafter annually.
and thereafter annually.
Yep.
So the board member that comes in, initially, participates in the training, and then the rest of them continually, annually. Okay.
And are those the only two? Don't they do the Title IX? No?
One say the public information is not required since we do have a public information officer, so the board now will be required to do it annually.
Mhm. We don't deal with, the requests, but it's important to know what's the process and why we have to undertake it. Because a lot of us sometimes can misunderstand and think, well, why didn't you just give them the information, right? When there's procedures and steps. So I think it's important for the board members to be informed about that. And as well as the Open Meetings Act, I mean, that's sometimes like today, we could have canceled, but we have to follow procedure.
Right.
Right, so that's what, I think some people don't understand that there's a process that follows through with, especially with the Open Meetings Act, because it's already been posted. So, yes, sir.
There are some very good materials out there on Open Meetings Act training. There was a seminar that was held at the end of last month on, and there was the attorney, actually, it wasn't an attorney general representative, it was another lawyer that talked about Open Meetings Act issues, and she focused in on sort of new developments and practical advice on what you should and shouldn't do. It's like, one of the things, and I talked to her afterwards, but one of the things she told the crowd was, look, I have colleges and school districts I represent, and they have committees, and the committees do, a lot of the work, the underlying work for the board, but I tell my clients, don't have a quorum of board members present at committees, whether they're sitting in the audience or up above at the table, because you could violate the Open Meetings Act. And I had a conversation with her about that issue. So that's an example of one issue, that's kind of particular that you may not get in the generalized training, say,
Mhm.
from the Attorney General. But the Attorney General does have, in fact, I'm on their website right now, they have a very good presentation that you can see, the TV here, say, for example, that deals with the wide variety of issues with the Open Meetings Act. So it could be done different ways.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, we could do that towards the end.
Yeah.
Of the year, and then to start it off for the following year. And then I think annually might work out best, because that way, if there's any updates or any specific areas that we need to focus on with the Open Meetings Act, as a policy committee, we can say, you know what, for this coming year, we're going to focus on maybe an aspect of the Open Meetings Act that maybe hasn't been for everybody to know. Because they get a brief overview, we get a brief overview when we come in, so it's kind of like an updated one. So are we all in agreement so we're all in agreement to add the Open Meetings Act training to be taken annually also, as well, in addition to placing the information that says to be completed no later than the 90th day after the member takes the oath of office, and thereafter annually,
Mhm.
okay?
And that will be recommended to the trustees on Thursday.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes. And I will do a brief synopsis before we take that into consideration. Only this one, I think, is in everything is in consent agenda,
Correct.
but I would like to pull this one out to the regular.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
And
Yes,
if I
sir.
could just add it, you would need to do that at least for this policy, because TASB's not recommending the changes we
Right,
just talked about.
yes.
So
So
if there's
we're pulling
another
it out
one,
from the
yeah.
consent,
Yeah.
just this one. Well, if we have any other ones, then we'll
Yes,
Right.
We'll add them as we
We'll
go through.
right,
Okay. Thank you, sir.
yes.
Anything else for that one?
For that one, that was it. That was,
Okay.
the BBI is an easy one. The only thing they've added is a cross-reference to policy CS. So this part right here is the only thing that's been added. No other changes to, BBI logo. BG local is a new policy. Again, as I referenced earlier, there are several new policies, all that address Senate Bill 17. And again, it's a ban on diversity, equity, and inclusion offices and required trainings.
Would this be one that I would really like to make sure that the board is informed of these changes, especially from the legislature? So is this one that, since it's new, can we place it on the regular, not on the consent?
Well, the agenda's already been posted,
Okay,
so what would have to happen, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Muir, but you'd have to make a motion
mhm.
to pull this out of the consent agenda. There have to be a second, there would have to be a vote to pull it out of consent. And then you could have the discussion
okay,
and then decide on it individually.
okay. So I'm gonna choose to do that. Okay, is that okay? So that would be the BBD and then the BGI. The BG, I'm sorry.
BG local, CFE local right after that also is brand new. And it's also related to Senate Bill 17. And it says, the college president or designee shall develop procedures addressing the discipline up to including termination of a college district contractor who violates education code 51.3525. So again, that goes back to Senate Bill 17.
So it's gonna be the ones that you've added. Those are because of Senate Bill 17. Anything that's added is as a result of Senate Bill 17?
There are, I believe about 1, 2,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, they're fine.
What I'll do is I'll let you finish and then we can come back
We
and,
can talk about which ones
Yeah,
we're gonna
mhm.
move out. So after CFP load, we go to CGC. CGC adds one statement to the end of the emergency operations plan statement that says that we have to, in addition to fulfilling the stuff that's already in the policy, now we have to, it adds any other requirements as established by the Texas School Safety Center. So I will add that we're already in compliance with this policy. We've already developed our EOP and we work very closely with the Texas School Safety Center to get that done. So nothing really,
nothing,
really
to-
major
okay.
on CGC.
Does everybody know what the Texas Safety Center is?
The Texas School Safety Center,
I was gonna ask.
it's the center that was established by the state to handle all, it was established for active shooter mostly, but it's developed into a multi-hazard operations type of center. And what they do is they work with school districts and colleges to make sure that we have emergency response plans, emergency response procedures. One of the things that they did last year after Uvalde is now we're required to submit an emergency operations plan annually. Before it was almost like on a need to know basis. Now they're not only do we have to turn it in, but they're checking it. They're reviewing it to make sure that it's in line with everything that has to happen. Right?
Okay,
It's located
In San Marcos, Texas, out of Texas State University.
is there a website or something?
Yes.
Yes. I don't know. have, Cassandra, I don't know if you want to add anything to what the Texas School Safety Center is.
So it first started, with K-12 and.
Go to the mic because you're not gonna get.
Yeah.
recorded.
And say your name for the record. Mhm.
Cassandra Salinas, Safety Nurse Manager for the record. Texas Safe School Centers started with K through 12 with all the changes and incidents that have happened. They are making it mandatory for junior colleges. We did submit it last year. I spoke to our consultant and they did say we passed at 100%.
Thank you.
All right, let's go on to the next policy.
Yes.
The next policy is CS local. This policy, this is a social media policy. So it says a college president or designee shall adopt any procedures prohibiting the installation or use of a covered application. So a covered application is an application, or whether it be a software or an app listed on their website that's prohibited. So they have a list of banned apps that I think Dr. Ramirez, you shared it with us last year. And
Most notably TikTok,
TikTok was
the
the
culprit of
most
this.
visible one out of all of those. So we're not allowed as employees of the college to have that installed on our device if the device is owned or leased by the college. And we're required to remove it. The only exception is when it's for the purposes of law enforcement investigation.
And that is, I know we said that was that one. Is there a list or something that we,
There is a list. Actually, I think it came from the Attorney General's office. They provided us with a list and it's listed on their website.
Mhm.
And there are several, and we're supposed to not only take it off of our devices, which include all college-owned desktops, laptops, iPads, cell phones. We cannot house those, and we're supposed to block them on campus. So if I wanted to try to get into any one of those apps from my phone while on campus, we block them out of our
Network.
internet.
and so that includes students?
Everybody. And we sent out notification to all students and all employees about it. When it happened and the governor's office sent out the edict, we sent out, they actually sent us the verbiage and we sent it out to everyone. Actually, it came from my office, to all students and all employees explaining. So if they try to access it while on either campus, it's not gonna come through. But the minute they go home and they're off campus, because there's a, what do you call it?
A geofence.
A geofence
Mhm.
on that here. And so, I mean, you can access it, a lot of people have TikTok.
Yeah.
And you can access it from home or once you get off campus, but while you're within our reach, you won't be able to.
So if a student receives a device from us, like the Chromebooks,
It won't be on there.
it won't be on there, and they can't access it either.
No, ma'am.
Could you send us that list so
Sure.
that I think we are also part of that group as far as I'm not a fan of it and I don't use it, but I know that
Yes.
at any time, some of us could come and, be here and utilize the different apps, and maybe we're not informed about which ones.
I did copy you all when I sent that out to all students, but it was last year sometime.
Yes, yeah.
It should be on our list of notifications, Raquel. Will you check and see? I think it is, but it should be on our list of notifications to employees and to students.
Okay. Okay,
We'll move on to CU local. CU local addresses, Senate Bill 1565. Requires a community college board to establish a policy framework promoting research security. This is
that's an additional, right?
that's it. This is a new policy.
And in our case, I designated Dr. Resola to be that RSO because he's already in charge of the IRBs. And so
Okay,
all research goes through his office anyway.
So a lot of the responsibilities listed here for an RSO are very similar to what we do with the Institutional Review Board in reviewing potential research.
okay. Thank you.
Again, so DAA local, the addition to DAA local comes from Senate Bill 17. A lot of the same language in here as compared to some of the other ones that we've talked about.
Yes, sir. I did want to mention that I thought it was kind of like peculiar, but we have a ACCT, which is the Association of Community College Trustees. And one of the committees that we have is a diversity committee. So,
Because that's a national
right,
organization.
but from those of us that participate from Texas,
Makes it a challenge.
yeah, so that means either we can't participate or we have to go to another committee or I think that.
You just can't serve on that committee.
Yes, that's,
Mhm.
I mean, and that's the one that I served on at the very beginning. So I wouldn't be able to serve on that one, but that's just, that's peculiar for that reason that I wish it wasn't like that, but anyway, so, okay, we continue. DAA,
So DA local was, all the changes come
yeah,
from
the 17.
Senate Bill 17.
Mhm.
And we move on to DEC local. One minor change, they've actually been adding to this policy a little bit at a time. And this time around, they've added a full-time telecommunicator who experiences traumatic events during the scope of employment to be granted at least 15 days of mental leave. At one point, it was just a district and police officer, then now it's a peace officer and an EMS, now it's peace officer, EMS, and full-time communicator on a lot of these policies. So that's really the only change that they've made there. And the line of duty illness is the other part. So following a leave of absence with full pay, a college district shall not extend the leave of absence for police officers, emergency medical services personnel, illness or injury. In accordance with the law, an eligible may use accumulated leave. So basically, that says, after they run out of the leave that we give them, then they have to use their accrued leave.
In addition to the 15,
Right. So if it takes longer than the 15 days, then they start using their accrued leave.
okay. And this is added because it wasn't there before.
It wasn't there.
Okay.
We'll go to, that was DEC, so we'll go to DH local.
We're still in DEC. Because we added,
Now, DEC was
Approval
only to
procedure?
add the accrued leave after the 15 days are done.
but then at the very end, under DEC local approval procedure,
Mhm.
the committee shall be composed of 10 members.
Well, they just changed 10
They
to
just
10.
changed 10, right? Okay,
Yeah. TASB does, those style changes every
Okay.
so often. So DH local, the only thing that changed in DH local was this hyperlink. It wasn't working previously or taking you to an outdated link. So I believe Ms. Cardenas sent in the updated link and they've changed that, but it still has to be approved by the board. So it doesn't look like there's a change there. But the changes in the hyperlink that takes you to. It has been corrected.
Okay, and that one, it DH local and it's under ethical standards?
Right. So,
Okay, there it is.
so this hyperlink used to take you to a blank page.
Uh-huh.
It worked at one time and then the link changed. So we had to update the link and
And that one changed. I mean, that one works.
I don't know if this one takes, I don't know where I go.
Okay.
So we move on to
EBA,
EBA, which I believe are minor revisions to.
it's just distance education and principles and
And
policy.
principles, the word principles is added there.
Okay. ECC local instructional arrangements, course load and schedules.
So really a lot of this is just scratching off and adding back in. There's no real changes there. The big change is add courses dropped during a bachelor's degree program or dual credit, dual enrollment course. Basically, so students here have a 6 drop limit.
Mhm.
If those courses, the policy now says if the courses are dropped while pursuing a bachelor's degree and they complete it, then those courses do not count towards the limit on the number of courses dropped. Same thing goes for dual credit or dual enrollment course. If they withdraw from the course before graduating from high school, they are not counted on their 6 drop limit anymore.
Wow. And then at the very end, it just changed the wording? No, it stayed the same. The college president
Yeah.
shall
the
develop
college
procedures.
president.
FA local equal distance opportunity. Another diversity, equity and inclusion
Correct.
initiative. That is a new one. Correct? Yes.
Think.
Yeah, FA local, equal education opportunity.
Just provides
Procedures liaison. Oh, no.
I lost my place.
That one, FA,
Oh, FA local.
we're on FA, yes.
Mhm.
That's also Senate Bill 17.
Mhm.
Were there any changes to that?
It's
I
the
think
same
that
wording
might
from
be-
the other one.
Let's see. Not sure.
Oh, yeah, it is new. This is new.
Yeah, it's a brand new, that's why there's no changes highlighted. So it's all based, same language that we've seen in all the other ones. So this is exactly the same as what you see in
Okay.
BI and so on and so forth.
This is new.
A brand new policy.
The next one that is brand new is the FAA local equal educational opportunity pregnant and parenting students.
Scrolling through. Um, So this policy addresses several new Senate bills, all protecting pregnant and parenting students. Well, some of these things that we're already doing, we already have some basic, procedures and processes in place to help, students who are pregnant or parenting. And, we've actually already been working with some of those, through Raquel Peña's office.
I was gonna ask, I mean, I thought those were already there, like, isn't that something that was being taken care of?
I think what happened was that they tried to handle that through, Title IX recommendations,
Mhm.
but it wasn't in policy for TASB until now.
Until now.
Although we're meeting the federal requirement, because it is a federal requirement.
Mhm.
So we have, for example, a lactation room, and we have the services being provided through either disability services or counseling services or student life, but I guess it was a matter of adding a full policy for it.
What does the parenting encompass? Like, if I'm a student
And a parent?
and I'm a parent, but I have a sick child, and I didn't get a chance to register early, or how does that work? Like-
But it even goes beyond that. It could be academic, obligations that they have, so they need to be out, of class because of a sick child or, because of anything related to being a parent.
Mhm.
Doesn't say that, we have to accommodate them, but it does say that basically we have to work with them and there shouldn't be any negative,
Impact.
Yeah, because
access
of that.
attached to them.
It really is. It's not about accommodations, it's about case management, so that the individual doesn't drop out of school.
Right.
And we're required to provide, from the federal standpoint, resources or be liaisons and guides to mostly single parenting women or men
Mhm.
to the right resources to help them get through college so they don't drop out.
So I think that some of the language we've seen is that we have to make sure that a student who's pregnant or parenting has the exact same experience as
As a,
everybody else.
yes. FFDA local, freedom from discrimination, harassment and retaliation, sex and sexual violence, replacing.
I think, on that one, on our end, this one was one of the ones that could have been in later in the agenda here, or could have been here, but, we've updated this to reflect, Ms. Peña's new, title as, Student Discipline Director and Title IX Coordinator. So, I believe that's the biggest change here,
Mhm.
because the other change is actually on top in the note where they've added a cross-reference to FAA leaving. But for the most part, the only thing that we really changed there is, Ms. Peña's title.
Yes.
Move it to FLB.
FLB.
One little change on FLB. Find it here.
What is it? Electronic means.
Electronics means instead of emails and, websites.
Number 6, right? Electronic means.
There it is.
Yeah.
Number 6 on page 3 of it, or sorry, page 4 of it. Oh, this was the only change made in
Okay.
FLB.
GCB local public information program, request for information.
So again, GCB, is an update to, based on changes in responsibilities. So, my office is now handling, public information requests. That's been true for a while. We just hadn't changed the policy to reflect that. And non-business days, that's something that we're already in compliance with. We brought that, to the board in December. to make sure that we were in compliance before the beginning of the year. So it basically says we may designate, in addition to the state designated holidays, we may designate an additional 10 non-business days for the sake of public information. And we've designated those and they're actually already on our website.
Okay.
That's it for this.
Number 4, approve modifications to the following Laredo College Board policies. Dr. Arezzo.
So one last minute change on number 4 regarding CJ local. At this point, we're going to withdraw our request for consideration. I spoke to Mr. Muir earlier this afternoon. And there are some questions on our modifications that we might require further study. So we would like to take that back, study it a little bit more, maybe bring that again in a couple of months when the program and policy meets again.
Yes, okay. DEAB local compensation plan, wage and hour loss.
I'm going to ask Ms. Cardenas for assistance on that.
Veronica Cárdenas, Senior Director of Human Resources. We wanted to defer this item as well. There are some changes here that in speaking with legal, we wanted to take a further look into it and make sure that TASB agrees with some of these items that we're going to be proposing.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Well, that makes it easy because the rest of the changes under this section of the update of strictly changes to Ms. Raquel Peña's title and responsibilities.
All of them?
Every single one. There are some where because of her shift to be more focused on discipline in Title IX, we had some policies that say, like on student activities and what was it, student life related items. The policy had to go to her. We're now changing that to where it should belong. And that's in the student life policy. That's more, you'll see that more in DGA. And which one was the other one, Raquel? It's in here.
So all of them are changing from the Associate Dean of Students Title IX Coordinator to Associate Vice President,
For
Student Life and Engagement.
Are they all going to the AVP?
Not every single one.
Some of them are.
Well, the ones that are student life related, like for this one is a sale of raffle tickets by a registered student organization. So that used to go, by policy, that used to go through Ms. Peña's office. But now it's going through the AVP of Student Life and Engagement.
Forgive me for having a temporary amnesia. Associate Vice President, Student Life and Engagement. Who has that title?
Mr. Castillo.
Apologize.
Mhm.
It's Monday and I'm off today. So I was like, wait a minute. Okay.
So another example is right up here, political materials. In designated areas, that's, we'll debate where that should go, but really it could go through, because most inquiries come through his office. We direct those to our AVP of Planning and Institutional Affairs, Dr. Martinez, who is also our elections official on campus.
And Associate Vice President of Planning and Institutional Effectiveness?
That's Dr. Veronica Martinez. Actually, she's not here.
Yes,
No.
okay.
She's the one that runs our election.
Yes, yeah. I was like.
Yeah.
So all of those from DGA, local employee rights and privileges, freedom of association, FI local student solicitations, FG local student records, FKC local student activities, registered student organizations, FLA local student rights and responsibilities, student expression and use of college facilities are all moving from the Director of Student Life and or Associate Dean of Students Title IX Director to Associate Vice President of Student Life and Engagement where it's needed,
Right,
or Associate Vice President of Planning and Institutional Effectiveness.
where it's needed.
Correct.
Or.
Or,
The student, Director of, Student Discipline and Title IX Coordinator. So we reviewed and where it was applicable for the duties to stay with Ms.
Mhm,
Peña, all we did was change the name of the title.
name of the
Right,
type.
but where it felt like, this now should go to a different person, then we made that change.
Correct. I wanted to make that distinction for the record so that that way, if they need to be referred back on the video, then they can do so. And I think all of these policies, I mean, I know there's so many of them. I encourage everyone to read the updates, those that are affected. But not only that, I also encourage fellow board members, administration. I want to say that I've learned a lot from being on the policy committee because there's a process to everything, but I highly encourage everyone. I know it's not something that we would like to be reading on our off time, but I think it really helps out for us to be more informed. And these changes, especially with the new legislation that passed, I think it keeps us prepared. It keeps us informed. But not only that, when everybody everybody is apprised of the changes, it makes us better people because of the policies that are changing. Like I know it's hard for us as speaking for myself. I'm a reader, but there's certainly certain things that I enjoy reading, and I do enjoy reading policy, but not like as my favorite pastime. But I know that when I do read something that relates to the changes in policy, it makes me appreciate more, like for example, I go back to the diversity and inclusion and the new legislation that passed. I mean, it makes me sad, but it also helps me to better understand how it's applicable to our college and to other colleges as well,
Right.
So definitely I do encourage. Anything else that we need to add, Dr. Aresola? So I can just review a little bit about.
No, that's
Changes.
it from on my side.
Okay, so before you leave, so one of the ones that we did want to, I guess, pull out from the list, right? Two, BG Administrative Organization, BBI Local, and BG Local, correct? I'm sorry, let me go back. BBD Local, Board Members Orientation and Training. And then BG Local Administrative Organization. Okay, so those two, I will ask the board to consider them individually. The rest of the ones, I will just explain about the different additions and the replacements. And then we are removing or deferring CJ Local Transportation Management, DEAB Local Compensation Plan Wage and Hour Laws. We're deferring those. When it comes to DGA Local, Employee Rights and Privileges, Freedom of Association, FI Local Student Solicitations, FJ Local Student Records, FKC Local Student Activities, Registered Student Organizations, FLA Local Student Rights and Responsibilities, Student Expression and Use of College Facilities. All those relate to the change in the designation of the individual and or title of a particular individual, correct?
Right.
Okay. Dr. Ramirez, anything else?
No, ma'am. Verifying. But those were the only ones, but yes, that's correct.
Mr. Muir, do you want to add anything?
No, no, I think that covers it.
Individual responsible and. Okay, Elizabeth, anything that I might have missed? No? Okay. Okay, thank you, Dr. Aresola,
you.
appreciate it. This brings me to number 5, adjournment of this meeting. If there's anything else that needs to be added or needs to be reviewed from the agenda, I believe we've already addressed that. And so with that, 3:51. I was gonna
Madam
say
Chair,
it's
just as a reminder, the next program and policy meeting will be in the month of April.
April. Mhm. For those that deferred the 2 items, we could possibly
Take them as regular.
take them in as regular, if anything. If there's substantial changes, and you can consider that for that time. Mhm, yeah. Okay. I won't promise you a 3:00 meeting anymore. Because we'll be back at work. So with that in mind, I looked at my watch and it's 3:51. I was gonna say it was 7:00 already, but no, I'm still at 3:51. So with that in mind, 3:51 and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.